Last week on CAW, Isaiah Hawkins made his debut in the Cruiserweight Showcase where he won a Fatal 4-Way TLC match to become the first ever Cruiserweight Champion. And in the main event, we had the unlikely team of the World Champion Big Bad Brad and his number one contender, the United States Champion Bruiser Jones. Jones hits his finisher, but it's Big Bad Brad who takes the pin for his team and gets the victory. The two had a quick little celebration that made it seem like they were on the same page. However, Bruiser Jones had different ideas as he cheap shots Big Bad Brad and stands right above him, showing that the world title can surely be his. Alright, here we are with the May 17th edition of Friday Night SmackDown. We are 2 weeks away from Judgment Day, and the card is about to get built pretty well here in this episode alone. But we are in West Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia. So the way this card's going to start out, again, we're just going to have one vacant slot this week. Normally we'll have two, but this time we're actually going to maximize our roster and really fill out this card here. All right, so the first match of the night is going to be between Koa Cruz and Kyle Ryder in a singles match. These are two really solid cruiserweights on our roster. As we know, Kyle Ryder's brother, Ray Ryder, holds every single championship on the Raw roster. So Kyle Ryder kind of underperforming when we look and compare him to his brother. And then there's Koa Cruz, who made his debut last week in that Cruiserweight Showcase where, him, Kyle Ryder, and Delano Anderson all ultimately lost to Isaiah Hawkins. All right, so right now we don't have a number one contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. So whenever these Cruiserweights come into these matches, it builds their stock as far as whether they deserve a title match in the future. So this isn't a number one contenders match, but this can definitely open the eyes for all the fans and myself here when it comes to booking who the next challenger for Isaiah Hawkins' Cruiserweight title will be. So let's simulate this. Let's see who comes out on top. Two great cruiserweights. And between these two, it is Koa Cruz from Honolulu, Hawaii. The Islander is doing his thing. He doesn't win the Fatal 4-Way last week, but he picks up a big win over Kyle Ryder, who again has a brother who is overshadowing him like crazy. Hopefully Kyle Ryder can figure things out, in order to get on that same path that his brother's on currently right now. All right, and so now the second match is going to be between Blake Austin and Isaiah Hawkins. This is a huge match. In Isaiah Hawkins' corner, it will be Chris Classic. And between Chris Classic and Blake Austin, they've been in a rivalry that Blake Austin has been dominating since the very first week. He's been dominating it so much that he is currently tied for the second highest popularity on the brand. The fans are loving him. The fans are seeing him as a future star to hold a world title, to hold the United States title. He is a big player on this brand. And meanwhile, Chris Classic has done nothing but fallen deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where his popularity is only at a 4, right? He got jumped by Blake Austin last week. So this week, he comes out with a very, very strong Isaiah Hawkins. Isaiah Hawkins is the best cruiserweight on the brand right now. He won that Fatal 4-Way to be the first ever Cruiserweight champion. And honestly, Chris Classic can learn so much from Isaiah Hawkins in this match. And this will kind of help Chris Classic out if Isaiah Hawkins can get this victory. Will Chris Classic learn what he needs to do to beat Blake Austin here? Or will Blake Austin just defeat another person in front of Chris Classic and show him that there's nobody really on this brand that can hang with him? I believe the only time Blake Austin has lost was the first week against the current world champion in the first round of the World Championship tournament. Let's see what happens here. Blake Austin, who has been on a roll, versus the new Cruiserweight champion, Isaiah Hawkins. Again, we have Chris Classic down there at ringside supporting Isaiah Hawkins. And Blake Austin again This dude is on a whole different level. It doesn't matter who you put in front of Blake Austin. He is beating them, and he is really rising his stock as far as getting himself a future title shot somewhere. He deserves a title match somewhere, somehow, and he's really opening my eyes right now because he is on a roll, just defeating the current cruiserweight champion. Blake Austin is not a cruiserweight, though, so he cannot challenge Isaiah Hawkins for that title. And would you look at that? It is Raphael who steps up to the plate and answers Bo Williams' challenge. He is more of a high flyer, but hey, this is your debut match. If you want to make an impact, if you want to show us what you've got, take that challenge, take that leap, and we can see what happens here. All right, we'll see who can come out on top. Will Bo Williams play to his strengths and actually come out on top, or will Raphael come out and upset Bo Williams here in this match? Let's see what happens here. Way to step up to the plate, Raphael. But now it's time to go. Raphael, Bo Williams. And Bo Williams comes out on top in the submission match. This was his match. This is his style. This is his specialty. He is a mat wrestler. He is a technician. And although Raphael, I highly, highly praise the effort that you put in to come out and take this challenge, tonight is just Bo Williams' night. We're going to see what happens between these two in these coming weeks, because I don't think this is the last time we see Raphael and Bo Williams going after each other. All right, so now we're moving into the next match here between Azrael and Delano Anderson. This is a rematch of the quarterfinals of the World Championship Tournament. Azrael won that match in the main event, and as you know, you can remember if you look back at those videos, that was a match that we actually jumped into and watched live. All right, this time it's going to be simulation, so maybe that'll help Delano Anderson, but at the same time, Azrael has also been on quite a roll as well. So we'll see what happens here. Azrael really wants to pick up even more momentum after winning 2 matches last week. So let's see. Can Delano Anderson come out and pick up an upset and avenge that loss earlier in the season? Or will Azrael just duplicate what he did before in that second week? Azrael, Delano Anderson. And Delano Anderson finds a way to defeat Azrael. What a match. What a match. Wow. Huge win for Delano Anderson, and I bet you Azrael has something to say about this later. And then in the main event, we have Bruiser Jones versus Mr. Nice Guy with Big Bad Brad at ringside in support of Mr. Nice Guy. Now, this match right here is a crazy, crazy triangle. There's a lot going on here. In the first week of the season, it was Mr. Nice Guy who upset Bruiser Jones in the World Championship Tournament. He's the one that knocked Bruiser Jones out of the World Title Tournament and prevented Bruiser Jones from fighting for the World Title. So this is an opportunity for Bruiser Jones to come back and avenge that loss. And seeing how Delano Anderson avenged his loss against Azrael, this is a great opportunity for Bruiser Jones to do the exact same thing. Now, the thing that's crazy here is just a few weeks ago, Mr. Nice Guy and Big Bad Brad fought each other in the World Championship Tournament finals. So I don't know if there's any bad blood between them there. I don't know how much Mr. Nice Guy is going to take with Big Bad Brad in his corner. Is he going to allow that? Is he even going to listen to Big Bad Brad? The real story is Bruiser Jones and Big Bad Brad, but there's so much with Mr. Nice Guy being intertwined with both of these guys. We'll see what happens here. Last week, Bruiser Jones ended up on top when everybody thought it was Big Bad Brad. Well, let's see what happens in this main event. We're going to hop in. It's going live. All right, and we are here with our rematch from the first week of the season. Can Bruiser Jones avenge his loss against Mr. Nice Guy? And he elbows him right into the quadricep, piercing his leg. And he's got that nice little chicken wing just ringing out the elbow, ringing out the arms of Bruiser Jones. And Bruiser Jones gets up from behind him and hits him right behind the back of the head. What has Bruiser Jones got going here? He lifts him up. Oh no, his finisher right in front of Big Bad Brad. Bruiser exits the ring and he walks right beside Big Bad Brad. What is that for? Why was he doing that? Bruiser grabs Mr. Nice Guy. Oh my gosh, and he's wrenching at the head and neck right in front of Big Bad Brad. There's a rope break, but he's still holding that submission hold right in front of the world champion, showing him what is to come at Judgment Day. Bruiser Jones, he lifts him up, and he hits his finisher yet again. And here's the pin. 1, 2, 3. Bruiser Jones avenges his loss and defeats Mr. Nice Guy. What a victory for Bruiser Jones to do this in front of Big Bad Brad, to show him what is to come in the future. Can Big Bad Brad overcome Bruiser Jones, who is still on such a roll? Bruiser Jones is enjoying this. He is enjoying this victory over, whoa, Big Bad Brad. And just like that, Bruiser Jones avenges his loss against Mr. Nice Guy, his loss that he had in the first week of the season. However, even though he got his revenge tonight against Mr. Nice Guy, it was Big Bad Brad who got his revenge over Bruiser Jones, who last week hit him across the face with a steel chair. This time, Big Bad Brad returns the favor and ends up on top in the main event of Friday Night SmackDown. This rivalry between Bruiser Jones and Big Bad Brad is only growing stronger. We are just one SmackDown episode away from Judgment Day, where these two will battle it out for the world title. So definitely tune in next week to see what happens during the build-up for Judgment Day. All right, so when we look at some news here, on Raw, Ray Ryder, the GOAT, ends up defending his Intercontinental Championship. He probably did this in the main event, but he defends his title, stays champion. They tried to take a belt away from him, but he remains the Intercontinental Champion, still holding all three belts, I believe. You know, I'd assume that he still has those belts unless he defended multiple that night, but I don't think the AI simulation does that normally. And then the main event on SmackDown was highlighted heavily. Bruiser Jones comes out on top over Mr. Nice Guy, but again, Big Bad Brad ends up being the man that finishes the night on top. Now, there was a sleeper match that everybody really liked. The former WWE champion, Sasuke, pulled off a crazy elimination tag team match. We'll get a look at that eventually. We'll look at that later. And then Dr. Walters had a pretty great match as well, prevailed in a great showing. Awesome week of Friday Night SmackDown, awesome week with Monday Night Raw. But as you guys can see, it took us a little while, but look at that fan change. SmackDown plus $250,000. Now, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. But, hey, it's something. We're moving in the right direction, and we didn't let the bleeding get too bad. And if you guys also see, we had a 1-star show. Raw put up a 1-star show too, but I guess our 1-star show was a little bit better. So good things are coming. We'll see. All right, so now looking at SmackDown, you guys all saw it on the news screen. We had a 1-star. Now here, it's giving me a 0.5 star. All right, we all know what the matches were. Everything was a 0.5 star, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But we did see on the news page that it was a 1-star, so I'm going to take that as a 1-star. Even though every time we look back at this, it's going to say a 0.5 star. And you know what? I just don't understand. I don't know how we won this week, how we got more fans this week. You know, I didn't do any slanders or anything, but just looking at this here, they got a 0.5 star, but they got a 1.5 star match in the main event. And we're going to get to that eventually here. So the first 2 matches for them were both vacant. So I'm starting to believe that if you have a vacant slot on your show, that will really pull the ratings down, because we had only 1 vacant slot. They had 2, right? But when we look at the first match for them, Casey Jackson with Rachel defeats Gladiator with Ricky Nash. So Casey Jackson she's tough, man. She is tough. She beats Gladiator, who I believe has been struggling as of late, but she's the former women's champion. She did her thing, ended up taking down Gladiator, one of the highest rated overall wrestlers in the CAW company. Popularity wise, I don't think he's doing too well, but Casey Jackson is one of them ones over here. She might need to get herself another women's championship match. And then Super Dude takes on Hannah and Dr. Walters in a handicap 1-on tag match. Super Dude has been having these handicap matches and not been successful. So it's no surprise here that a team of Hannah and Dr. Walters ends up taking that one there. And then we have an elimination tag team match. That's why Sasuke won. It's because he had Lisa Lee on his team. Lisa Lee is the women's champion. And just like Casey Jackson, Lisa Lee is a dog here. All right. And then you add in Sasuke, who's a former WWE champion. There is no reason for that team to lose to Tank and Midnight. And then the Intercontinental Champion, the GOAT, Ray Ryder, wins a TLC match and defends his Intercontinental Championship against Zach Frost, one of the top cruiserweights in the company. Zach Frost can't fight for the cruiserweight title because he's on Raw. So the fact that he's able to get matches against Ray Ryder, who is the GOAT, you know, for the Intercontinental Championship, that is awesome. However, Ray Ryder proves why he's the greatest wrestler in CAW currently. He does this in Italy, right? He does this around the world. Ray Ryder is global at this point, right? This isn't just happening in the US. Ray Ryder will beat you anytime, anywhere, doesn't matter the location. And he proved that again tonight in this Intercontinental Championship match against Zach Frost. What a champion. Now, when we look at our roster here, Big Bad Brad drops by 2 points from 38 to 36. And I understand, you know, he did finish SmackDown on top, but he was the manager of the losing wrestler in the main event. Blake Austin continues to move up to a 36. Bruiser Jones moves up to a 36. So we are now in a 3-way tie. We are in a 3-way tie for the number 1 guy on Friday Night SmackDown, which is crazy. Chris Classic is at a 0 popularity. I don't know what to do about this, guys. Do we release Chris Classic? Do we just call it quits with him? Hopefully Raw picks him up and builds him up. Because honestly, I feel like if anything, Chris Classic being on the roster at a 0 popularity is only going to hurt our roster, our shows. You know, you put him in a match against even Big Bad Brad, that's going to draw 0 stars. So I don't know what to do here. All right, so now we are looking at the Power 25 here. No surprise, Ray Ryder is number 1. He has been number 1 for the past 5 weeks. So for 5 weeks, he has been the #1 wrestler on the, in CAW. At number 2, we've got Bruiser Jones. 3, we have Blake Austin. And number 4, we have Big Bad Brad. So same thing as last week. They have the #1 guy, but we have 2, 3, and 4. They have the number 5 person with Lisa Lee. All right. So same as last week. It's just 2, 3, and 4. Our top guys just kind of flip-flopped based on how the matches went. We go down. 6 through 10 is right here. If there's anything you guys notice, anything cool, Bo Williams actually climbing up is kind of crazy. And then we have 11 through 15 here. Isaiah Hawkins dropping mightily. Azrael dropping mightily as well. We look at SmackDown. The top 5 guys on the roster are Bruiser Jones, Blake Austin, Big Bad Brad. Bo Williams finds his way in the number 4 slot. And then number 5, we have Azrael. Now, for some of you guys that don't know, all 5 of these guys are heels. I did make Bo Williams a heel a couple weeks ago. And yeah, I think heels just dominate my show. These guys are the 5 guys that are in contention for the world title. If we look at 6 through 10, Isaiah Hawkins is at the top of that. We have Code Cruz. Mr. Nice Guy drops even more. Delano Anderson and Raphael. And then here are the bottom guys here. Billy Spade, Kyle Ryder, and Chris Classic. Kind of sucks for Kyle Ryder because his brother is very successful. And then we will look at Raw. So this is their top 5. Ray Ryder, Lisa Lee, and Casey Jackson. Lisa Lee and Casey Jackson are awesome. They are carrying that women's division, and it's getting to the point now where I almost want to make like a women's division on SmackDown and just kind of make an imaginary championship. But what they are building, Hannah too, wow. What they are building is amazing. So we have Sasuke at 5 also, and he is half of the world tag team champions with Ray Ryder. So if Ray Ryder could hold both belts at the same time, I bet you he could. Put him in some handicaps and he could be his own team here. But let's not disrespect Sasuke. He did play a part being the world tag team champion with Ray Ryder. He is a former WWE champion, as well. So he is pretty solid. When we look at 6 through 10, this is their 6 through 10. Pretty solid here. And then they're 11 through 15 to round up their roster. And when we look at the fan support, you see that little budge coming up from this past week. We gained our 50,000 fans. We are now at 4,720. Raw is at 5,280, so we brought them below 5,300, which is awesome. We just have to keep this momentum pushing, all right? We are going to have our Judgment Day card very, very soon, all right? We are going to have that Judgment Day card, and that is actually going to help us quite a bit because they're not going to have a show to match us. That's going to be 2 episodes from now. So let's hope for the best here. Maybe after Judgment Day, we actually surpass Raw. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Please hit that subscribe button. I did notice that we actually gained 3 subscribers since the last episode. So if we can keep that coming up, that would be awesome. I did get some suggestions from a subscriber in my previous videos. He commented on a couple of videos, and I do want to implement the suggestions that he gave. And if you guys have any suggestions yourselves, just comment down below. All that. This series here is not just for me. I'm having fun playing this game. I love this game. But if you guys see anything or want to see something happen in this series or some type of editing change or something like that, let me know, man. I'm making this for you guys and, just having a great time doing it. You can have multiple minds creating something great. All right. So let's do that here. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you guys next week as we wrap up the last Friday Night SmackDown before Judgment Day. All right. Peace.